I have been working with the deaf community here in the Minot area for about 20 years. I became certified about 6 years ago, and we have a deaf ministry at our church, so I have connections with a lot of the deaf folks in this community and throughout North Dakota, actually. I became involved in the news press conferences for the flooding here in Minot back when it was just beginning, the very mid-June. I received a phone call from our local television station. They had been receiving little hits on Facebook saying, okay, how come the deaf folks don't know what's going on because there's no scroll on the televisions for those live conferences. So they contacted me, asked if I'd be willing to try to do that. I in turn contacted our mayor, Kurt Zimbelman, and he agreed, yes, we do need this type of service available too. So it began by word of mouth, basically, and the need was expressed by the population themselves. When I first began interpreting for the press conferences here in Minot, I didn't realize that there were deaf people watching across the nation. I had no idea. I knew that the room was full of media all across the nation, but I had no idea the extent that this would be reaching. I would get texts from people afterwards or emails saying, I live in West Virginia or I live in California and my parents are hearing, I'm deaf. Thank you. We're knowing what's going on right on the moment. So it was amazing to see how widespread it really was once I started doing those conferences. And when I wouldn't be at a conference, I got a lot of texts and emails saying, okay, where were you? Why aren't you there? So it really made a difference with the communities, the deaf population across the nation. And I had to actually keep clothes in my car because as an interpreter, you need to wear dark colors or dark plain colors like the navies, the blacks, because deaf individuals it's difficult to understand what you're signing with your hands if you have several plaids or if you have bright colored shirts or nail polish and those things. So I had to be basically ready, and I would have to keep that change of clothes because I wanted to be available when the mayor needed to do a press conference. I wanted to be there for those folks that needed it. I noticed the rooms were full. They were completely full in the press conference rooms. And after each time it became more and more apparent to me that this was something that wasn't being done throughout the nation in times of disaster. And I was taken aback by that. It's bad enough that, and sad enough that they have issues with the flooding or other disasters that could be anywhere in the nation. But when they have a disaster that happens in their lives, to have to worry about, am I going to understand what's being said at the same time, it triples their stress and their problems. And having to deal with all these agencies, when you go to the recovery center, it's overwhelming anyway. But then when you have a communication issue, they're not even going to go, and they need to have the right to be able to show up at the disaster recovery sites and say, I need help, I require an interpreter, and that person be there. So I feel that this has been a huge opportunity educationally across the nation. And I'm hoping my hope is that this will continue and that the state of North Dakota and other states will see that that's a priority, that when there's a meeting of any kind, that needs to be already assumed that there will be an interpreter. Next question from the media. That's what I'm used to. Are there any other comments or questions? I have, yeah, okay.